Hi, everybody. I am Steve Bourie, and I am the author of The American Casino Guide.
And I'm Matt Bourie, and I'm the editor of The American Casino Guide. And our video today is a little bit different. We're going to do a Skype video interview with a man named Peter Liston, who is a professional slot machine player.
Okay, today we're going to do something a little different. Like Matt said, rather than Matt and me talking about casino gambling, we are going to interview a professional gambler. His name is Peter Liston, and he's written a book called $1 Million Slots, and Peter says that he has made millions of dollars playing slot machines. Now, Matt and I have done a lot of videos on slot machines, and we say it's very difficult to be a long-term winner on slot machines, but we do point out that there are particular instances where if you play certain kinds of machines in certain playing conditions, you can be a long-term winner.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see how he does it, so let's go to the interview.
Peter Liston, how are you today?
Very good, thank you, Steve, and thanks very much for welcoming to your program here.
Well, we're glad to have you. We have quite a few questions. I've heard about your work. I know you have a book called $1 Million Slots.
I do, yes.
And the story is that you started with a $500 bankroll and you built it up into millions of dollars by playing slot machines. So can you give us, first of all, give us a bit of a background about how you got involved in this and what you did earlier in life?
Okay, well, first off, I was an accountant, and then I became a mediocre teacher, but rather bored with what I was doing there, so the casino opened across the road from me about 24 years ago it was, and I'm not a gambler. But I happened to go across there and wander around, looked at the different games there, looked at the slot machines, banks of slot machines, looked at the poor people playing the slot machines. The thing that I noticed was that above the slot machines they had these displays showing progressive jackpots. Now, I asked myself the question, those progressive jackpots, obviously, as they rise, they're worth more to the player. Could they actually rise to a point where they're worth more to the player than they can lose on the slot to get it? So that got my brain working for about 3 months. I didn't teach too well for about 3 months, so I worked very hard on that. And I developed a formula, and the formula enables me to calculate how high the jackpot needs to go before I have the advantage. So once I have the advantage, then the expected losses on the slot machine should be less than the jackpot that I'm playing for. So I have the advantage. Doesn't mean to say I'll win all the time, but if you only play when you have the advantage, then in the long run you'll win.
Okay, now I have a question for you. So this was, you said 24 years ago. That was just the regular progressives. Now, one of the newer things are these must-hit-buy slot machines that they have all around. Do you play those, or you still only play the regular progressives?
No, look, you can make money on the regular progressives. You can make money on the must-hit progressives. You can't make money on the fixed jackpots, and you can't make money on jackpots that rise to an upper limit and then stay there. Mm-hmm. So you can only make money on certain jackpots.
All right, so the ones that keep going, so because it has to get past that break-even point where it becomes advantageous for the player, right?
Yeah, either those or the must hits, yes.
Okay, and then so we've been writing about this for years, and we've heard about like slot teams. So is it something similar to that?
Probably yes. There are slot teams here in Australia. I think in America they're just starting to get a bit of a handle on to realise that you could actually make money on the slots. In my honest opinion, slots are the new blackjack. Mm-hmm. So slots are easier to play and better to play than what blackjack is. And for me, it's far more lucrative.
And then where can you find these machines? You can find them pretty much anywhere, right? They're easy to find, or it's. Yeah. I would assume that the machines are easy to find. It's just finding them in that advantageous state is probably the harder way to do it, right?
Yeah. So wherever there are slot machines, you can make money. So it doesn't matter whether it's South Africa, Panama, North America, Australia, New Zealand. The machines are basically very, very, very similar. So out of those machines, you can find the slots that have the advantage. Then you've got to be very patient. So it's like any form of professional gambling. It's about patience, and you wait for that window when the jackpots reach a point where the jackpot value is greater than the expected cost of getting it. The slot losses.
Now, Peter, are we talking about individual machines, or are we talking about a bank of machines?
It applies to both the banks of machines and individual machines. So the banks of machines are better from the point of view that you can wait till the jackpot reaches the optimal hit point, which will give you a very good return. Your returns on a bank of machines will average between 8 to 12% return on turnover. Now you compare that with blackjack, which gives you about a 1% return. Returns on a standalone machine will probably be lower than that because you might find it hardest to get onto that machine at the particular point you want to get onto it. So with that, you might have to get on earlier.
Okay, well, one question though, when you have a bank of machines, let's say there's 10 machines, and say it's you and your partner or your wife, and you're playing the machines, and there's only 2 of you, and there's 10 machines. Isn't there a chance that someone else is going to win that jackpot before you do?
Of course, but you can multiply your chances by increasing your bets. So that's never been a problem. Look, the local people, they'll get maybe 1 in 5 jackpots against me. That doesn't worry me. So I'll get 4 out of 5. That's fine. That's fine for me. But yeah, no, I multiply my chances by increasing my bets.
Okay, now I have a question. So is this, because I know a lot of other advantage plays like blackjack, it's sort of frowned upon by the casinos. Is this like, do the casinos know what you're up to? Do they not like it? Have you been banned from any casinos? How does that work from that perspective?
Okay, look, there's no rule that says you can't walk into a casino, walk up to a slot machine, and sit on the slot machine and play the slot machine whenever you want to. Unlike blackjack, if you sit down there and start counting the cards, very quickly you'll be tapped on the shoulder and either restricted or evicted. So basically, casinos don't know. They really don't know that you can beat the slots. That's the first thing. Secondly, they don't worry because the money that goes into the progressive jackpots belongs to the player. So you don't take the money from the casino. So you're not a threat to the casino, so they won't be watching you. Now the question is, have I been banned? Yes, I have. And why was I banned? In Crown Casino, in the early days, absolutely marvellous. No competition, making absolutely squillions. And then I got some competition. So instead of having 2 or 3 people on the machine, so I had to have a few more. He had a few more and so forth. So it got a bit awkward. And then on the front page of our local newspaper, in letters this big, some journalists had written, "Pokey gangs in casino." So that was rather disheartening for me. So anyway, the management came to me and said, "Take a holiday. We're going to evict you for 6 months." I hadn't broken any rules, but they just basically wanted to clear the air because that wasn't good publicity for them.
Right, that's understandable. But now you were talking about competition. Now, do you obviously you say you go around the world looking for these advantageous machines?
Yep.
And if so, there must be other people that know similar math, and are you treading on their territory? And you know, what happens if you go into a new area and they see you playing their machines? What happens?
The worst situation I had was in New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand. They had the casino over there, absolutely brilliant jackpots. I had been there, I'd come back, I was busy over here, and then I went back there with a team. But in the meantime, there was a team of a Chinese family had learned how to do this, and they learned how to do it well. And when I came in, they weren't too pleased to see me. So yeah, that was awkward, and my players got death threats from them. Yeah, it was a very awkward situation, but there was money to be made, so we just had to stay there and do it. But generally speaking, now there's competition here in my home state of Melbourne. there's 13 families who have been doing this for years and years and years and living off the slots. So we have arrangements. We basically divide Melbourne up into 13 areas, and we have our own areas. And big jackpots, we join forces. So it's all pretty civilized here.
Oh, that's interesting. Now here's a question: if you're making all of this money playing slots, why would you want to teach other people how to do it?
Okay, well, I certainly won't teach anybody in my area. That's the first thing. Second thing is I'm happy to teach people in other areas. Now, I call myself the slot king. If I'm the slot king, I need to know what's going on everywhere. So I'm happy to have people in the United States that I'm teaching. And the feedback is two ways. So obviously I'm giving them information the whole time. They're ringing up asking questions, but I'm getting information from them. So I'm in a learning situation as it goes backwards and forwards. And I've found it to be very advantageous for me. I've also had situations where my students have been a little bit scared to play large jackpots, so they've called me in and I've gone and played the jackpot and given them a commission on that. So it's worked well for me.
Now, is that on like really big jackpots where you'd need a large bankroll to win that they're afraid to play, or?
Yeah, large is back.
Okay.
Bankrolls. Yeah.
All right. So now you have a website where people can contact you, and you offer a course. What is it? It's an individualized course for players?
Yes, I'll come to you. So I'll come to you and spend 3 days with you. I'll teach you how to calculate when a jackpot can be hit, and then I'll go around with you to your casinos, identify the particular slots that could be beaten, and set you up so you know which slots can be beaten. You know how high the jackpot needs to go, and you're set to go. So I'll do that for 3 days with you, and then you've got me 24/7 by telephone. You can ring me 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll answer the phone for you, and if you've got any problems, any doubts, want to double check your calculations on there. That's a lifetime. That's a lifetime after.
Oh, well, that's great, actually. Now, another question is, do you let people know if they have more competition of people you've trained near them?
I won't teach people if they are in the same area as someone I've taught before, because that would not be ethical.
Oh, well, it seems like you've got all your bases covered there. You seem to be very honest here.
Okay, I got a question for you here. Now, what kind of bankroll do you need to get started in this? I mean, obviously, you got to have some money. This is not for the average person. So what kind of bankroll does someone need to get your services and to get going in this endeavor of trying to make money off advantageous slot machines?
Okay, well, to get my services, I charge $9,900.
Is that U.S. or is that Australian, or what is that? U.S.
That's U.S.
Okay.
Yeah. My Canadian student made $160,000 a year before last. He made $60,000 last year. So your returns can vary. I've had people do my course and made nothing. So just to forewarn you about that. Okay, so what sort of bankroll? Well, I started with $500. I would suggest more than that. Now, when I started with $500, I was fiddling around with very small jackpots, and it took a few months to build up a jackpot. Now, I don't think you want to hang around for 3 months and wait and lose good opportunities. So I would suggest a bankroll of $15,000 would cover you for pretty much all of the opportunities that would come your way.
Okay, now I would assume it's got to be pretty volatile, right? There's got to be where you go on real bad streaks until you hit one of those big jackpots, right? And then that sort of just makes up for all the bad streaks. Is that sort of how it works?
It's not that volatile. On a day-by-day basis, you'll be up. Well, you win, lose, whatever. But at the end of the month, I've rarely had a losing month, and I've never had a losing year, of course, because when you have an 8 to 10% advantage on turnover, unlike blackjack where you've got a 1% advantage, with an 8 to 10% advantage, it doesn't take long before you get ahead. And once you get ahead, you never get behind. You just build up.
All right. Now, on your website or in your notes there somewhere, there was a notation that you had made a presentation before the World Gaming Protection Conference.
Yep.
And I assume that's a gathering of all the casino people and
Yes.
security people. So,
Yes.
so what did you tell those people at that conference?
I probably told them too much.
Mm-hmm.
I told them what I do and how I do it, but I thought that would be the start of my speaking career, and that was the start and the finish of my speaking career. So nobody's contacted me for an encore. But yeah, there was 400 at that. I was one of the 2 keynote speakers, and there were 400 in that session. Yeah, they were security heads from the various casinos.
And did they invite you to talk there?
Yes.
How did that come about?
The guy Willie, who runs it, he saw my website. He saw my claims that I make money out of slots. He said, "This is unbelievable." Mm-hmm. So he contacted Crown Casino, spoke to the security people at Crown Casino. He said, "Is this guy for real?" They said, "Yeah, he's for real. He makes money here, makes a lot of money here." So Willie said, "We've got to get Peter as a keynote speaker." So I was one of the 2 keynote speakers there.
Oh, that's great. Now, question for you. Now, if people want to contact you or learn more about you, where can they get more information about you or get in touch with you at?
Okay, the best place to contact me is on my email site, which is slotsking. That's with a Z. slotsking@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. I certainly recommend you have a look at my website, which I think you'll be putting on the screen. Mm-hmm. That's pokermachineschool.com.au. Mm-hmm. That's one word, pokermachineschool.com.au.
All right, Peter Liston, thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Okay, Steve and Matt, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to your viewers.
Okay,
all right, thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, so that does it for our interview with professional slot machine player Peter Liston. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss any of our other great videos when they're released. And if you also like to give it a thumbs up, and if you had any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. We'll be able to clarify anything you might have been confused on.
Yeah, thanks very much for watching, and best wishes for good luck in the casinos. Don't forget that you can see more of our educational gambling videos on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/American Casino Guide.